Guys, our friends from NordVPN are on a mission to keep you safe when you're online. With Nord's help, the internet can be safe of cybercrime, theft, and surveillance. Nord is much more than just a VPN. NordVPN's threat protection is going to shield you from malware, trackers, and ads, while their dark web notifies you of any potential leaks or threats. The MeshNet will allow you to connect your devices remotely and securely, and the dedicated IP will allow you to avoid CAPTCHAs and block lists. But my favorite part about NordVPN is that they're privacy conscious. They do not track what you do or share, whether you're sending or receiving anything online. And you will always be protected with a robust encryption. One account can protect up to 6 devices with 24/7 customer support and a 30-day money-back guarantee. NordVPN customer service cannot be beat. Become safer online with a single click and the fastest VPN on the planet. Get NordVPN's 2-year plan plus 4 months free when you go to nordvpn.com/Sonnen or click on the link below. O'Malley is to take on Merab. That is the way that the story is going. O'Malley is the champion. O'Malley has a fight to do, but he's the favorite. And Merab is the #1 contender. O'Malley will be in the cage, defending his title in a main event, of which, I repeat, he's a favorite. Merab will be cage side. The announcers at some point will acknowledge that. Camera will go to him. The words will be said. Merab Dvalishvili watches on with a close eye, knowing that he's next for either man. All right, great. Fight comes to an end. O'Malley wins. O'Malley turns to Merab. He addresses him. Merab pushes through security. They get a face-off. Maybe O'Malley steals his coat this time. Right? Are we close? Are we somewhere in there as to what's happening? Because as that story goes, it is important that O'Malley wins. If O'Malley is to lose to Cheeto, right, you're only as good as the information you have at the time that you had it. So when we were picking #1 contenders and we're saying who's next in line, we were never considering that O'Malley would lose the very belt that we're discussing. So the second that he does lose the belt, by proxy, at least in my mind, he falls to #1 contender. At least within my mind. I mean, that argument is going on right now at 145 pounds with Volkanovski. What should we do with Volk? Well, you give him a match with Topuria. Why would we do that? Because he's the #1 contender. He was the champion. Okay, great. Sold. So that becomes a little bit hard to do when the guy's cage side, you brought him out, the cameras have already thrown to him, and your announce team has already informed the world. It can be done. I'm just sharing for you. It becomes a little bit harder to do. A more appropriate example might be when Dricus du Plessis was the #1 contender. They go out to Australia, and Sean Strickland is a 6-1 dog, upsets Adesanya. Like, looking at who was the #1 contender and who was next to fight for a title was always a discussion of who is Izzy going to fight next. When Izzy lost, whoa, stop everything. Now, I understand that Izzy versus Sean rematch didn't happen, but I can inform you behind the scenes, they tried to make it happen. That was the match that the company went after. And the company wasn't wrong. The information that they had at the time was, we need to know who's next for our 6-1 favorite champion. So it's a very interesting spot, right? I mean, I'm just taking this from a standpoint of conversation. That's all I'm attempting to have from you. But every fighter has the same job, which is to get the biggest paycheck against the easiest opponent at all times. At 135 pounds, I don't know if there's a division that we know less about. Peter Yan is not any worse today than he was 4 years ago. When I saw Peter Yan 4 years ago, I thought he was unbeatable. I remember thinking that. Well, there's nobody that can beat this guy. I remember having that thought. And Peter Yan's had a couple of losses, but he's not any worse now. He's great. I just didn't know how many other great guys there were in the division. Now we see Merab. Gotta give Merab a title shot. If you beat a champion, you get a fight for a championship. Merab just beat a champion in Henry Cejudo, who's one of the best combat athletes to ever do it. And then 3 days ago, I saw this guy named Nurmagomedov. And I saw him deal with adversity, and his record is something crazy. I mean, it's like 16-0. I don't even know. He's won so many fights. Like, I'm not positive what his record is, but it looks a lot like Rakhmonov's record. It's one of those situations. Oh, by the way, this guy that I'm telling you about that's got more wins than I can even keep track of is ranked number 13. So the experts that are in charge of keeping track of this say there's 12 dudes that can beat the dude that I just told you about. The experts say they know 12 dudes that can beat the dude that's never lost to any dudes. Okay. Maybe they do. What I'm sharing for you is if Cheeto comes out on top or O'Malley comes out on top, your job is to get the biggest name who offers you the least threat. Let me just say, and I don't want to use Sandhagen as an example in a way that it could put down Sandhagen. I mean it to compliment Sandhagen, who's very skillful, but of your likely contenders, he has the biggest name. Right? Nurmagomedov has shown that he's a big problem. But no matter how good he is, Merab's in front of him. Merab's next. That's the way the story's already been told. That's why Merab is in the front row, hoping you say his name so he can come into the cage. So if you win the fight, you right now in that moment need to demote that fight if you don't want to fight him. You got to follow the golden rule of fighting the guy that makes you the most money, and he's the worst guy available. If you don't think that's Merab, then you take that microphone, you point to Merab with the cameras rolling, and you say, I've never shared this story, but this man right here, Merab Dvalishvili, is like a brother to me. That's my best friend from the time we're 5 years old. I would do anything for Merab. I'm the reason he's in this organization. I called in a favor. I had one favor to get, and I called it in for him. I'm real proud of you, Merab. Turn right back to the cameras. While all the smart marks are confused in their living rooms, that only represents 15% of our market. So now you got the other 85% that, of course, don't want to see you fight your brother and friend. You look right back down the cameras. You talk directly to them, and that's where you call out the name that they know, which is Corey Sandhagen. Merab, who has been brought to Miami to steal your code or to have you steal his code, is standing in the front row going, my God, what just happened to me? Now, you might think that that would be laying an egg to the highest of levels, but Ciryl Gane did that very thing to Tom Aspinall. The very thing that I just lined up, and that fight never happened. If you think you have the skills to go and deal with Merab, do it your way. But we haven't had a contender in the last 12 months that's played along. I can go back to March of 2023. Colby Covington not only was the alternate fighter, he was there in attendance and announced as the number one contender, which means he would be fighting Leon next. Leon went to the post-fight press conference, said, I'm not fighting Colby. As a matter of fact, Leon then said, I will be fighting, and he went after Belal Muhammad. And Belal Muhammad went right to the media and went along with Leon. It was a mess. It was a mess trying to unwind that. And trying to unwind that, straighten things out, and get everybody to play their part took all the way until December of the same year. It took 9 months. It's very powerful what is said in those moments. There is no media, there is no marketing, none. No matter how many posters, no matter how many billboards you pay, it doesn't matter if they're in Times Square themselves. You will not run back and influence as many of your actual marketers, the people that are actually going to buy and separate their time and their money to watch and pay you, as you have in that moment post-fight with Joe Rogan. And if you feel that Dvalishvili doesn't fit the bill, you feel that's a really tall order, there's things that can be done. There's a game that can be played. You can starve a guy out. I don't know who's doing it to who, but one's doing it to the other with Conor and Chandler right now. I will fight you. I promise that I will fight you. You will be next. I didn't say when next was, right? It's like the guy with the girl, the old joke that says, oh, I'm going to marry you. I'm going to marry you in May. And then he looks to his buddies and go, may the day never come. And everybody's supposed to get a big laugh out of it. Well, Conor has said he will fight Chandler next. And he said, you will be the next fight for me. He didn't say my bank account versus your bank account. We're going to see who can wait it out the longest. It's one of these things. It's part of the game. But there's only a few people that know that game exists, and there's only a few people that play it. And the reason I'm bringing this to your attention is because nobody plays it better than O'Malley, and that's the guy that allegedly we're telling not only he's going to fight Saturday, but we're telling him who he's going to fight next without asking him. And something tells me Sean O'Malley isn't going to like being told what to do.